Welcome to Mugello Circuit. Nestled in the Tuscan hills of Italy, this 5.2-kilometer racing circuit features 15 turns and over 40 meters of elevation change across the lap. This is one of my absolute favorite circuits. I love driving this place. I first discovered it back in Assetto Corsa when I was racing against bots for the first time, and ever since then, I have very quickly grown to love it in its entirety. I love each of its corners. I love turns 6 and 7, the downhill right-left complex of Casanova and Savelli, which you see here. A really, really fast, on the limit of grip sequence of turns, which leads right into the Arrabbiatas, which you see here. The double right-hander up the hill. In the F4 car, it's actually flat to do this entire sequence after turn 7, but it's right on the limit of grip. It's a lot of fun. It's punishing if you make the wrong moves, but if you take the turns well, they flow into each other beautifully, and it becomes such a smooth drive. So let's jump right into the first of two races that I have to show for you today. The field strength was 2,319. My I rating at the time, 2168, and we started in P7 on the grid. So a little bit down the ways in terms of I rating, and that's reflected in our grid position here. But hopefully we can get a good result, use our knowledge of the track and our inherent skill to gain some positions here. So we're just going to wait for the lights to go out and for the race to get underway. The engines are revving. We get the start beeps again. Flip the camera. And eventually we are underway for the race. A pretty good launch. Lots of cars behind us, which is always scary, as we run down the front straight. Just over a kilometer long, this front straight. It's really, really long. Loads of slipstream. Compared to Suzuka, it's like a night and day difference as we overtake the first car on the outside to get up to P6. We run up turn 1 and then down into the first chicane. Lots of chicanes on this track. They are really, really important as they all lead onto straights. This one, a little bit of dust kicked up ahead, but nothing too worrisome for now. Shouldn't be a problem. As we run down the next chicane, really, really running the curbs here. I found that a lot of drivers were just sticking to the track. This was pretty early in the week, so that makes sense. And then here, beautiful. Casanova and Savelli, I believe, is the other turn 7. Love that sequence, and it runs right here. You got all the way on the outside. Clip the inside of the curb, not too hard. You don't want to bounce too far outside, and then really maximize track without there on the outside. We are right behind the car in P5. Up the inside, not going to happen into this chicane. It's really tough unless you have a lot of overspeed. I don't want to make any stupid moves. But we're getting really close here. We get a really good run. As I was saying, you need a good run. This is where we go up the inside to P5, already on the first lap, up 2 positions. So a really fantastic start to the race. Very happy with our performance so far. Staying on board through another chicane. This is, I think, the 4th one of the track. And we have a lot of ground to make up ahead of us as we skip ahead a little bit. Checking behind us, there's actually a fight going on, thankfully. So I saw this in my mirrors, and I was very thankful that I didn't have to deal with the pressure of a car behind. Because as I was saying, the slipstream, very strong around this track compared to Suzuka. Very, very strong. A lot of cars tussling behind us. This is one of those situations where if you make a big mistake, you're not going to drop 1 position. You're going to drop 5 or 6 positions and have to make a lot of work up in about 10 laps. We see the cars behind still continuing to fight. There's actually a move up front. Doesn't quite manifest for the orange and black car. But this Red Bull livery car that we're following here is going to get involved as well. Down the outside, is it going to happen? No, he's actually going to clip the car on the inside, spin himself out. Thankfully, it doesn't collect anybody else, although he does get a little bit close here, but not too bad. Up the Arrabbiatas once again for us, really running the outside of the curb. You want to get super close to the what is that, sand, gravel on the outside, but if you touch it, you're going to get an off track, so you have to really manage the difference there. Don't want to go too far on the inside. Those yellow banana curbs can really unsettle the car, especially these really stiff F4 cars. It'll just knock you in the air, knock you around, and you'll be spinning backwards in no time flat. More dirt being kicked up on the outside of the exit of that turn there, but so far, no accident. But you really got to keep a level head in these races, especially, I mean, F4. It's a savage series. It's got a reputation for being very unforgiving. And, you know, it depends week to week, track to track. Sometimes it's not so bad. Sometimes you can get by with some really clean racing. But, yes, other weeks are, in fact, a bloodbath. And we're going to jump on board here with actually the car that is, I think, 2 cars ahead of me. And they're going to go around the outside of the number 2 car here. This is actually for the fight for the podium. I think this is P3. And, oh, there's a bit of contact as the car that was behind goes outside. We gain the position up to P4. So now we're staring at a podium. And we get, whoa, up the inside. That was a crazy move. We actually have to concede the position. We go back down to P5, but now we're alongside. And we have the inside line for this next chicane. A pretty easy move to cover off. Up to P4, bit of gravel, no real concern. And now we're looking at the back of a podium. It's been about 3 laps by this point. It's a 10-lap race, as I said, so we still have about 66% of the race to go, give or take. And as you can see, we have a little bit of a wiggle up ahead through the Arrabbiata, but no real problem. He is catching, but he has to lift off here to avoid running onto the gravel. And that allows us to just pull a little bit of a gap into the chicane, which I did take pretty conservatively, but he actually takes a bit of a wide line, which is not optimal. And we're able to scamper away, thankfully, not have to worry about it. And this is the next lap, just taking a look behind. Whoa, we have company. The car that was overtaken by us in the last lap has made it pass with the slipstream effect. Down to P5 we go as he goes around the outside. Very confident move. Let's tuck in right behind him. We actually get a pretty good run going on here, but we can't make anything of it. It's not really the move, the space for an overtake into that chicane. But if we just tuck in behind, get a good launch like we just did, we might be able to make something else happen. Hopefully relatively quickly, because you don't want to get dropped in this race, obviously. The slipstream is really powerful. And if you have the slipstream of the car ahead, then the car behind you really begins to suffer if they can't keep up with you. You just end up with a 15-second gap by the end of the race. And look at that. The cars ahead are actually going to be fighting as the car ahead goes onto the curb, has a bit of a wiggle, and now there is definitely going to be some kind of conflict up ahead. And I am absolutely ready to pounce and seize the opportunity should it present itself. The P4 car goes to the outside as the car with the podium defends the inside line, which is fair to do. Honestly, both lines work for attacking and defending, as there's actually a bit of contact, I think, and the car in P3 sneaks himself back ahead. And again, I'm just nipping at his heels. Up the inside a little bit, doesn't really work. I kind of banged the curb a little bit too hard, end up falling back, which looks like a bad thing, but then the P4 car actually goes onto the gravel, giving me a better run, but I back off because I don't want to have too much overspeed. I don't want to clam into him. You gotta be patient, especially in F4. Even on a 10-lap race, you just gotta be patient as they go down the Arrabbiata. Nope, this is not the Arrabbiata. This is the Casanova, the downhill right-left that I'm forgetting the name of. This is the Arrabbiata, as it's actually becoming a 4-car fight, almost a 5-car fight, but we are 4 astern here, down the chicane. So if anybody here makes a mistake, they're going to be in trouble. There's very little margin for error, as the car fighting for P3 is getting really close to the car in P3. There's almost a bit of overlap going into this next chicane here, but it doesn't quite manifest as anything. But it looks like down the main straight, if not into the final turn, there's going to be some action. Into the final turn, can he make it happen? He goes around the outside, or the inside, I suppose, and they actually end up alongside. But he's not able to do it. He tucks in behind. There's almost contact, but he stays behind. But now we're really close with a lot of overspeed. So what are we going to do? Run to the left-hand side. We're going to get real close, and we actually end up kind of falling behind here. But then he gets checked up behind the P3 car, and we keep going at full throttle. We get P4 back from this guy. We go way around the outside. Don't want to tease anything. And then he momentarily gets back ahead. Is it going to be enough? Is he going to get past? Ooh, he is. He squeezes really close, and I end up just backing out just to maintain safety. But this is going to end up having a bit of a knock-on effect, as you'll see. Now this is the car in P4 ahead of us. We take the curb nicely through the chicane, back off a little bit, But the car in P3 has a bit of a poor run and gives the P4 car a good entry, who goes way into the corner quickly. And then they actually end up hitting each other and spinning off into the gravel. A huge accident. So that's a huge benefit to us. We're going to jump back in a second and just see what actually happened, because that was amazing. So here's the car in P4 running down the right hand, left hand. He just checks up to him, and it's, well, it's just no good. You don't love to see that regardless. Obviously, I benefited. I'm now in P3, but it's not what you want to see regardless. We're here to race, not to witness each other's crashing. Anyway, not to get sanctimonious, but we are now in P3. We're in a podium position, but we have some competition behind. This car that did start ahead of us, and we got ahead of this guy back on one of the first laps of the race. Might have actually been even the first lap. He is now really looking for our position. He has a lot to gain. He's in P4. I'm in P3. So if he can get past me, that's a huge moral victory for him. Getting on the podium is always a goal. And even though he's pretty far back, there is, as I was saying, quite a lot of slipstream in Mugello. I mean, it's a kilometer-long straight, so it makes sense. But it also just feels like the moment-to-moment increase in speed was a lot higher. Maybe it's placebo, but yeah, very strong slipstream as he gets pretty close behind us. Not enough for a move, but he's within like 2 car lengths. He's definitely really close to us. But thankfully, if you can survive the first part of the track down in turn 1, there's really no place to go for an absolute dive bomb send until you're, past the Arabiatas into the 3rd chicane. This is a cool camera angle, I thought. Kind of reminds me of the F1 movie, those cameras. As we head down the giant right-left downhill section, bit of gravel on the road. Ends up not being a problem for us, thankfully. But you got to be careful, especially on this track. If you hit gravel at the wrong time, if someone goes off and puts debris on the track, you end up slipping out wide. You end up hitting the outside of the track, and you end up putting more gravel on the road, as well as losing precious time, which you don't want to do. We're hitting down the main straight here. This is, I think, one of the last laps of the race, maybe lap 7 or lap 8. And you see he's getting close again, but not enough to make any kind of real impression. We go a little bit wide, just more of a wide entry. Something I've been kind of doing a lot on this track is taking a wide entry to prioritize my exits, as he actually gets a really good run there through the first chicane compared to me. But thankfully, we're able to keep it ahead, keep cool heads. And if you don't really make a mistake, it's pretty hard for the car to get past you, even if they do have a pace advantage. It will happen eventually, usually on the main straight, but it's pretty easy to keep a car behind through these chicanes. They're all pretty fast turns. If you go defensive even a little bit, it becomes almost impossible to go for a move without overcommitting. So down the Arabiatas once again, or up the Arabiatas, I suppose. It is a vertical incline. As I was saying, over 40 meters of vertical elevation change on this track, and you really feel it, especially during that 4-corner sequence where you go downhill and then uphill the Arabiatas. It's a very, very noticeable vertical drop and then rise. Now here, the car behind him, P4, was getting pretty close to me, so I thought, okay, if he's going to overtake me on the straight, maybe I can make something out of this. So I'm thinking during this lap how I can manufacture this into a way that I can win. And I have a big brain moment where I decide, wait a minute, what if I go wide into the final corner, just let him go past? Sure, we drop down to P4, but it's not a problem because now I'm directly behind him with an extremely powerful slipstream. This is going to be a really easy move, folks. It's going to be super easy just to tuck into his slipstream, as we're going to do here, just drift into it. And because we're so close to him, we're going to really quickly build a really, really big overspeed and just go down the inside. I mean, it was really like textbook, to be honest with you. I was very satisfied with that move. I was very happy with myself. He gets quite close going into the turns again, into the chicane, but like I was saying, it's just not easy to do. Shapes for a move on the inside, but I'm really not afraid, especially around that corner where you have to really, really fully commit. It's not much of a braking zone. And at this point, I feel like I have the race under really good control. As you can tell, though, I am in P3, not in P1, but the cars that were in P1 and P2 were absolutely gone. They were in a league of their own this race, and I pretty much never saw them after the first lap or two of the race. I mean, they were never part of my race, so I wasn't paying attention to them, but it was just never a factor. I was never going to win this race unless they had their own humongous crashing problems, which they did not, unfortunately, but neither did I. That was the really important bit, is that I kept my nose clean this race, which is something I've been really trying to do this year in F4 specifically, but also just in iRacing specifically, is just keeping my nose clean, not getting involved in stupid fights, stupid accidents, and just trying to get as many hours and laps I could as on the track, and just being as clean as possible. Get that safety rating up, you know? As we run down the straight again, he's quite close. He would be something of a threat, but this is actually the end of the race. This is the last lap. So we're going to come here across the line and take our third position. We started 7th, and we finished 3rd. Not bad whatsoever. We gained 0.14 safety rating and 69 I rating, so that's nice. But now we're going to jump into the second race. We're going to skim over that quickly and show you what happened at that one. So now we're here in the second race of the day that I did. Field strength 2473, I rating 2201, P9 grid position. So we gained I rating, but this is an even higher I rated lobby, so we ended up a bit lower on the grid, P9 instead of P7. But we're going to take off here with the lights going out. And again, a decent start. I felt pretty good with my starts in the F4. It wasn't amazing. I don't have a manual clutch, or at least I don't. I took it off my Fanatec pedals, so I don't want to use a clutch. But that's a skill issue. As we go 3 wide into turn 1 here, this is pretty exciting. Lots of cars in close contention, and unfortunately, I'm really involved in all of it. Thankfully, the car in the middle backs out. We can get up the outside of that turn. So that puts us up. The Cannon Williams on our outside, or inside I suppose now, he's got the dominant position for the turn, so he goes way up the inside, actually really aggressively, almost hits the car around the outside. Thankfully, they don't make contact. And we're able to sneak up the inside here as the Williams gets checked up behind the car ahead. We go up into P8. Just like last race on the main straight, where I just benefited because the car ahead got checked up. And the cars ahead of us here are going to actually have their own accident. Again, another just front into rear bonk onto the gravel. Happens quite a lot if the car ahead is a little bit too slow or has a bit of a wiggle. And we're going to shape up for a move against this car, which I think is I think it's like the P6 car now, or P5, something like that. Yeah, I think it's the P5 car. We're all over him. I feel like I have a lot of overspeed and a lot of pace compared to this guy. And at this point, it's just a matter of waiting for the pit straight, because again, like I was saying, the insane power of the slipstream on this track meant that it was just so easy to blast by any car if you got nearby them onto the start of the straight. And you see here, we're well within like 0.2 of a second at this point. Look at the overspeed. Absolutely incredible. Down the inside. He doesn't defend. I can't blame him whatsoever. Up the inside, later on the brakes, get to the apex earlier. It's a pretty textbook move, pretty safe move. That brings us way up in position, up to P5, I believe, at this point. He has a bit of a run out of the chicane, but he can't really make anything of it. So nothing comes of that. Jumping ahead a little bit, this is pretty much how the rest of the race went for me. As you can see, the car ahead just continuing to slowly drift out of sight. I just didn't have as much pace as him, as much raw pace in the race. There wasn't anything there. So I just ended up slowly watching him fade away for the entire duration of the race, but I didn't make any real mistakes. I went a little bit wide here, but again, wasn't really a problem. And eventually, we go around the final corner for the final time with no real threat behind. I dropped the car behind in P6, and I got dropped by P4. That's the way it goes sometimes. But still, that was a pretty good race as well. We started P9, but finished P5 gained 0.13 SR and another 60 I rating. So overall, quite a profitable couple of races for me. But that was not the most exciting, and that'll be in the next video. I had a pretty interesting race. That's all for now, though. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Have a good night.